Will you be here, the meeting in September?
Maybe.
Check and see if you can be. I need to go to Arizona.
I can take you there.
Huh?
I can take you there.
I'd get there myself, but I do it. If I was current.
September 20th?
Fourth Thursday.
20-something.
The fourth Thursday of the month.
Oh, yeah.
We actually have two meetings in September. One is the public hearing for the tax rate, and the other one
Which
is
is what day?
the 11th.
At 4?
That one we usually have at 1
Nine.
o'clock, but whatever you guys want, just
Pardon?
tell me what time. Whatever, well, you can decide that, that'll be part of the discussion in today's meeting anyway. The 11th will be the public hearing, and then it looks like the meeting's gonna be on the 27th.
Did you get your affidavit?
Not yet. She said she sent it, so I thought she was gonna email it to me, she mailed it, so
27th, you said?
that's what it looks like, that's the fourth Thursday in September. The 27th.
But we have to have a meeting sometime before that.
The 11th is when the public hearing is, yes.
You think you're gonna be here, Mark? Because we won't have a quorum if not, because I won't be here either.
On the 11th?
No, on the 27th.
On the 27th is the,
27th, right now I can't be here, but I can still trade trips around. I've got a line for that for next month. And starting on Saturday, we can start moving stuff around.
do we need to move
Well,
it?
I can be here, but it's just, it's best if I'm not. I can get it started earlier. I'm trying to get to Prescott, Arizona the next day.
Okay.
Do you wanna move it to the week before?
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you wanna move it to the week? We have to
Week
have,
before would be better, I think, for me.
I gotta get with, we have to have so many days after the public hearing. So, but no, that's fine, yeah, that's right, it's between now and then, it's the days, okay. Yeah, you wanna, the 20th? Is everybody okay with the
Can you
20th?
make it the 20th?
Sure.
Yes, I can make it on the 20th.
Well,
Okay,
that would satisfy two people.
there we go.
Okay.
Change it to the 20th.
Tim, you got a problem with that? Well, that'd give you a quorum.
Yes. Meeting. I'm
September's
pretty
meeting's
sure
on
I
the
can
20th.
make the 20th.
Just let me know.
Yes, sir.
Remind me who you fly with.
United.
What's good for you?
Was Continental, now United.
What do you mean Continental? There is no more Continental.
I said it was Continental.
Was.
Now it's United. In actuality, it's still Continental. It's Continental's operating certificate, it's their maintenance certificate.
Ah,
The stock is actually the old Continental stock. It's now United Continental stock, but it's actually the Continental stock.
okay.
But United, the official reason was United had a more worldwide recognition.
They had more stock out. No, they probably didn't
I
have
don't
any
think so.
more.
We were doing much better than they were.
Yeah, no, but I'm
Yeah,
just
as far
talking
as the
about,
stock.
I'm just talking about the amount of shares outstanding. A wider distribution.
Right.
Yeah.
But probably the official reason was you have to get DOT and DOJ approval for a merger that size. And the president at the time was from Chicago,
Ah,
which is the headquarters of United.
yeah.
If it had happened before when the president was from Texas, it might be called Continental and the headquarters might be here in Houston.
All right, the regular meeting of the River Plantation Municipal Utility District, please come to order. And the minutes of the July 26th meeting is in front of you in your packets. Does anyone See anything they wish to change? If not, I'd entertain a motion to confirm the minutes.
I wasn't here, so I kind
Well, you weren't here, so you can't.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second the motion.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
of.
Aye.
Comments from the public?
Sure.
We'll go right ahead.
Okay, well, the thing is, I've got two things to talk about, but one, Richard suggested I bring this up during the comments, and the other is something I'm bringing
D, I didn't wear my hearing aid,
up. Again?
again. Maybe it's on purpose, I don't know. Seriously,
Well, that's cute. What do I do?
speak to everybody else.
We'll listen.
They'll answer
Okay.
you.
All right, as you know, Ed Blackburn is not allowing anybody on the golf course, so that means the mower and the golf cart from MUD cannot get on the golf course to do any maintenance or trimming, whatever, over at plant number 3. So they
Yeah,
have to
he's
go down
warned us of
RP,
that.
they have to go down RP Drive and up Mosswood to get there. Now, they have an outside area that still needs to be trimmed, they got bushes over there and whatever. They cannot get on it because that's golf course property. I have suggested that a guy with the weed eater can come through my yard and clean up all that stuff, just swishing it around for a few minutes and get all that cleaned up, because all those weeds are not coming to my yard and my neighbors. So that's all we need, is somebody to
Is
go
this,
through the thing.
is this our property,
Yeah, it's just that small strip.
or is it
outside.
or is it right away?
No, it's actually part of the plot.
Part of the property, and we don't have access to it.
But it's outside the gate, so we're not required to maintain it.
I understand
Only
that,
inside
I'm
Yeah.
trying to see through her problem. Anyone have any suggestions?
Well, everybody else
Because I had a
comes.
conversation with Mr. Blackburn 2 weeks ago, and it wasn't at all the most pleasant conversation. And had to do with another matter, but he again warned me about getting on the golf course.
Well, you can go right
From a
through my
mud
yard.
standpoint.
You can go right through my yard, it's right there.
I would say that if that's the case and it's that simple as to
It's
just go
simple.
through your yard with a weed
And you
eater,
don't have a
Yeah.
problem.
that we entertain doing that for you so that it takes care of the weeds behind your house.
I'd appreciate that.
Can you get through her yard?
Sure,
Yeah,
everybody can get through my yard.
it just says. it's-
How much are we talking about? What are we talking about? Square footage?
Oh, I don't know. Square footage, I never measured that area.
It's
I know-
it's a triangle,
It's-
1/2
yeah.
times the base times the height.
Exactly, right. But it goes all the way across her yard, from one side of her yard clear to the other side.
To
All
my
right, so
neighbors
Your
too.
yard's 80 feet?
Yeah, I mean, it's not a big deal. If somebody get out there with the weed eater and just go swishing around there and cut the weeds down.
So it doesn't have to be a mower, it can be a weed
Oh,
eater.
no, just get the weeds down, that's
Milton
all.
says it'll take 2 people to do that with a weed eater, not just one. Because he uses the big mower to do that. But we can't get the big mower out there anymore.
Well, she's saying you can do it with a weed eater though.
Well, yeah, it's gonna take
2
longer.
weed eaters.
2 weed eaters is what it's gonna take. It's not a 5-minute job.
Or maybe one guy at
And
10
how long would it
minutes.
take?
It'll probably take them both probably about 20 minutes with 2 of them.
Oh, I don't think it would take that long.
Yeah. Oh, weed eaters, I mean, they're not gonna, they don't mow grass that great. I mean, they work, but they.
I
you
know, but I mean, I'm just saying to cut down all those weeds that are growing.
Anybody have any suggestions?
The reason I brought to the attention, I told her to bring to the board, is if the board tells me to cross private property to do that, I'll do that. But as a general principle of the district, I won't do that.
You
because
have
it's
crossed
private
the,
property.
you have crossed the golf
Yeah,
course,
I
which
know.
was
That's why
private property.
That's why I told her to come to the
Before.
board.
So
now
what's the
The only
difference?
private property we'd be crossing now is yours,
It's hers.
Yeah,
and you're fine with, obviously, with
Yeah.
us.
no big deal.
I'll make a motion that that's.
You
what
need
we
to get a
do.
release?
Well, I mean, you're just talking liability of, walking across private property, that's all. But I mean,
You're
if the board-
insured, I'm
Break your leg.
insured.
If the board says it's okay to do that, and I'll send the crew to do that.
Your conversations with Ed, he strictly says, even if you have to get to your equipment, you're, stay off the golf course, or?
No,
Can
no,
we-
you
can we
gotta
brush-
go, you gotta go Mosswood Drive though,
All right.
to get to his equipment.
Yeah. I can get to my plant through Mosswood. I just can't get to the small section outside the gate,
Right.
which only affects her backyard, that's it.
And the next door neighbors.
No, it doesn't go to the next
Yeah,
door neighbor.
well, yeah, because
No, it
he's,
doesn't.
yes, and then he's concerned about all
My
the
property ends
weeds
at-
going over there to his yard too, so
No, my
that's the
property ends
thing.
at the telephone pole.
Fine, but he's right there, and
Which is
he's
your
ending
back
up with
corner
your
lot.
weeds.
So,
Well, it affects him.
you know,
Well, this is a problem created by
yeah, I know.
somebody.
Is there
Well,
any movement with the CIA about settling?
I wouldn't know of it.
It's still in the courts.
According to Blackburn's conversation 2 weeks ago, not no, but no.
When I asked
well,
that,
if that's the way we've always gotten to it though, do we not have a legal right to continue to?
We
get
had
to-
permission then.
we had permission, yes.
Yeah, but I think once you establish,
You would be called a descriptive easement,
right,
and, it would be, I don't know.
It would be hard to really get that, means that we do have access to the plant.
Yeah, we don't use it for anything.
Right.
Exactly.
All we're doing is cleaning up somebody's
Right.
yard.
right.
That's it.
But it's, well, it's
So
not
it
somebody's
doesn't
yard,
do
it's
us
our
any,
property.
it doesn't do any benefit.
Yeah, well, it's our property that we should be maintaining.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, but we don't have to maintain it. That's,
Yeah.
anything outside the fence, we don't have to maintain.
Well, you've got bushes that are dying, you've got weeds out there,
I'm just
why
explaining to
not?
her, Dee, don't,
Yeah.
we're just talking among ourselves here now.
This is comment section, I'm commenting.
Now,
Amen.
You don't have any objection to that?
anybody wanna make a decision? Anybody wanna make a motion?
We got anybody capable of doing this job?
Oh, yeah, guys, are
Okay.
Yeah.
How long will it take?
about 20 minutes, like I said, for two of them.
Once a week, once a month?
Whenever
I mean,
we
that
do
doesn't
the,
matter, but yeah.
whenever we do the plant,
I mean, once winter time
It-
comes,
right.
it's not gonna.
Whenever you do the, okay.
whenever we work on plant 3.
Yeah.
See, I'm having to buy a regular push mower for plant 3 because I can't get the giant one in there anymore. So I'm just gonna buy a push mower and just keep it there to mow that.
You
It's
can do
easier
that
to-
with a weed eater probably better than you can a push.
No, they'll be there all day with that, with a weed eater. That's a lot of grass inside the plant.
Well, they sure do it in our yards there in Fairway Village. They get those weed eaters out and
Yeah. Oh, don't do it. Don't.
they go like
Yeah.
wildfire.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I make a motion.
do I hear a motion?
I make a motion that we allow the maintenance crew to trespass on her property because she's given us permission to take care of the weeds in the area.
Okay.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
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 Motion carries. So done.
Okay, thank you. I have now my question.
Pardon?
I have now my question. That was Richard's thing.
That was 3 minutes.
No, I asked you, I told you I've got two things, one is his, and now for me. I have a question.
All right.
Okay, Richard, could you tell me how is Gage Hare related to Stephanie Hare?
How is Gage here? Well, she's his son.
Yeah, that's your grandson
Yes, I know that.
working here.
Yes, I know that
Okay,
too.
what about Taylor Villa Gomez?
She's my granddaughter.
Okay.
Okay, that is not allowed for a governmental agency.
That doesn't apply to me, that applies to the board.
No, it applies to you because you have the authority to hire.
I've questioned that and it's not an issue. That's why my son David used to work here and Stephanie worked
That's
here.
right, I know, and that was a problem then, but nobody
There was
did
no
anything
problem with
about
them.
it.
They were great employees.
It isn't the
Just
fact
disregard.
that they were employees, it's the fact that this is not a family business. You had your kids, now you have your grandkids. It
I think
is
you're delving
illegal.
into a question here that should be dealt with by the board. If you want to
Okay.
address the question to the board, fine.
Okay, according to the Texas Municipal League, the insurer, having anybody that has the final authority for hiring, they cannot employ their relatives. It is illegal. There is a fine of from $100 to $1,000, and and it's a misdemeanor. And if then you can be fired. I mean, this is serious stuff, and this comes from the Attorney General's office.
Do you have anybody hired now that's related to you?
Well, Taylor's my granddaughter.
Pardon?
Taylor's my granddaughter.
Engages
She
his
don't leave,
grandson.
though, huh?
Yeah.
Engages his grandson. So he's got two of them here.
But I've had two of them here before, and I've never had an
Yes.
issue with it, and I checked with legal on it before, and they said it's not an issue so long as it's not board members.
Well, that is not the way the
So,
thing is written.
since
All right, my suggestion is, I'll pose the question to Davis.
There you go.
Can I make a suggestion? Why don't you just call the Attorney General's office? It's free. Instead of calling the attorney.
Attorney
How much-
General's office gives you the runaround.
Yeah,
No,
That's all
well,
they do.
then you should look at their report. They won't give you the runaround.
They give you the runaround. I've called them too many times. Secretary of State, Attorney General, they all do the same. You go from one person to another, and he's out, and they're gone, yada, yada, yada.
Gee, I don't know
Call
why I
Davis,
don't have any
ask for an
problems.
opinion.
sure.
And tell them to read the
that'll settle
Texas Municipal League report. The AG's got it. It was
Then
done in
report back
August
to us
of,
next month.
August of 2016, so it's pretty current.
Anything else that we got?
That's it.
Bookkeeper's report?
On these CDs that are coming up for maturity,
Mhm.
we're gonna renew those, correct?
Yes.
So we're
We'll
gonna get
renew them at the
better
higher rate or transfer them to another bank with a higher rate.
rates. Okay,
That's usually what we do.
that's coming
It
up.
looks like this Third Coast Bank does a pretty good rate right now.
Yep, that's what we just transferred the last one, and that I have to have you guys sign, as a matter of fact.
Well, compared to everybody else, that looks like free money, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, that's
It's going up
That's a
too, so
big difference.
believe me, you don't want to tie it in for too long because
Right.
it'll be 4% in another year or 5.
Secretary and anyone else. Let's see it there.
And this is the last of the sanitary sewer payments,
Correct.
other than the 10% withhold,
That's included.
that's included.
Yep.
So we're square.
Done.
How square is EP with it?
They haven't got their final yet. I'll send it in their next bill. Thank you.
So those are only going in for 9 months? Because they expire at the end of July.
Right.
So that way we'll be able to catch it updrift if it happens.
Right.
Good.
Any comments or questions on the bookkeeper report?
How'd we pay Sherwin-Williams twice?
I sent the invoice in, and the bookkeeper got the statement, and she paid the statement and the invoice.
Oh, okay.
So I said, no.
Well, at least they caught it, so.
Well, I caught it, and then they sent it back. Now, as long as we're with the bookkeeper's report, she also submitted a renewal on the agreement for the bookkeeping services. If you guys want to review it and sign it. It only went up $75. So
Well, I noticed they charged $1,700 this month though,
that's
or
because
at
of the,
least that's what you paid them.
that's because of the quarterly report. It's higher because of the quarterly report. Normally, it's not that high.
What's it been
Is
running?
that
Around 1,100.
a month?
So it's gonna go up another $75 per month. You have something listed here for election expense. Last month, we had an election expense also.
So that's the final one. We were waiting for Sue Harvey to send us the final.
They do our payroll too?
Mhm.
Okay. That's not bad though.
They do everything.
Oh, it says it's going up to 1,100. So we must have been paying them 1,000.
Yeah.
Something like that.
1,025, that's a good one. Then you always have like little printing stuff in there and things like that.
We're ready to proceed on to the tax report is what I'd like to bring up next. Get it in your mind. There is, you see the tax report as prepared by the bookkeepers. And then with that, there's an added one-page flyer to anticipate what taxes could be collected next year and how much we dropped. We dropped roughly, what was it, 12 or 17 $million in valuation.
Went from 148.9 million to 135.4.
Yeah, 12, 13 $million in valuation. Well, therefore, revenue is gonna run some short as to what it has been. Now,
Well, and if you got 85 houses being bought as rental property, some of those are gonna turn into bad debts, I'm gonna assume.
well, I anticipate that next year, they'll probably reevaluate a lot of these flood properties, those that have been rebuilt, and it may go back up some. Whether it'll go back up enough, I don't know, but, we need to keep this in mind as to what our proposal is gonna be for our tax rate. And how it affects us in our budget, because we have always used, probably 50% of our budget is covered by the tax rate. We don't have any bonds. So we've used the tax rate to cover the budget rather than raise other rates, because this way, at least somebody, those that are making enough money, get some write-off from it. Not everybody gets a write-off. Some of us quit working, almost. But that's the reason we maintain it as we have at 32 cents. As long as the valuations were going up, everything was rosy. That's the reason we were able to accumulate the excess funds that we've accumulated in anticipation of certain events that we can see that are going to occur in the future. And those will be addressed when the budget is presented. And at that time, but that's the reason I want to call your attention to this, to pay particular attention to this in anticipation of what's going to come up.
What's the percentage of decrease? I know you said it was 12 million, 12 plus million. What percentage are we looking at there? Is that, went from 138, you said, to 126?
Well, roughly 10%.
148.9 million last
Be
year.
nine
So
plus
about
percent.
9%.
Right.
Okay.
So you're talking about, last year's revenue was 476,000, for instance, and this, if you keep the current tax rate at this new value, we'll only get 433,000.
And the difference being
10%.
is what?
Was it $43,000?
All right, so roughly 10%.
Yep.
Well, I assume we'll have to cut everybody's salary 10%. Does anybody have any other questions about the tax report? It looks like we've done fairly well on collection, mainly because a lot of the houses had to be brought up to date, I think, and they were in an area which was prone to late payments. But it looks like we're in pretty good shape as far as the collection's concerned for the year. Any comment?
Yes, sir.
I don't want to do all the talking.
You're doing fine.
Yeah, you got one.
I get hoarse. All right, let's go to the system reports, and which includes the manager's monthly report and all.
The monthly report's in line, there's nothing out of the ordinary on it. We did finally find the last major leak over there in Manassas Park and fixed it. So I'm hoping this month's gonna start closing the gap on that leakage area. You'll also see in here the GRP report. We're within range still, so we're not in drastic trouble. But you can see the 2 months where we went higher because of in May and June, I'm sorry, May and June we went higher for those 5 massive leaks we had. We got those back under control, and then the July started to come down. And I'm assuming the August one's gonna come even lower now that, once we got the last leak fixed.
On those big leaks that you had, I know that you talked about one of them last month was because of a tree
Yes,
that had deformed
Yeah.
the piping.
right.
What about some of these other big leaks that we've had? Is there any way of going back and, was it our fault? Was it ground shift only? Was it?
It's kind of a combination. Ground fault in some of them, especially in the bigger lines, because the pressure moves in and they crack like this, The one that cracked lengthways was the tree, which was pushing it over, and it just split it, The other 3 major ones were the service lines that were rusting from age, and they just blew off. So, not much you can do about it, It's just that back then, in the 70s, when they made saddle clamps, they didn't epoxy coat metal back then, Now they do. So we've got steel bolts that have been in the ground since the 70s, 60s, and some of them.
Right.
66, and they're just starting to rust away. Once they rust, they blow off the saddle tap, and now you gotta keep the holes shooting water up.
Okay.
So,
Were most of those big fluctuations that we had on the report that you sent me, were most of those leaks in the homes area? Because some of them went from, I know one of them in particular went from, what was it, 2,000 gallons to 50,000 gallons in 1 month.
yeah, a lot of them, well, it depends on the time of the year. Some of them is, people are just turning their sprinkler systems on for the first time of the season, and they go from, matter of fact, I'm putting in meter readings right now, and I can tell you right now, they're not gonna like these next bills, because they all of a sudden turned it on. Now they're going up 40, 50,000 gallons in water, because they turned the sprinkler systems on. It's been hot and dry. Other ones were commodes and things like that, though, yeah. So it just depends. As a general rule, right now during the hot time, I'll see the entire consumption start to grow. I mean, I'm averaging around about 520,000 gallons a day right now pumping. So I can tell people are starting to water again. As soon as it rains, it'll drop. But as long as you get 5, 6 days with no rain,
We didn't get that rain the other day.
that's right, and they're just starting to turn the sprinkler systems on. So that's what that is. And the system totals report is reflecting that.
Well, in conjunction with his report, I had him, since there's been so much rhetoric over the last several months about the loss of water and how bad it is and all that, he prepared this paper to show how much water loss, and I asked him to do this and compare it back to, well, I wanted him to get it to people pretty well similar to us, but they weren't that readily available. The city of Conroe, of course, is at almost 10%, city of Houston's at 9%. Our neighbor, East Plantation, 7.5%, and we're at 5.5% roughly. So basically, we're probably 40% better than East Plantation, and they're newer. So from a water loss standpoint, and tell them your results you got back from a conference about talking about water loss.
Yeah, the Public Drinking Water Conference I attend every year for the TCEQ, they said right now the current state and national average is 15% water loss.
Really?
Wow.
15%. If you go over 15%, now they're telling you to do something about it, but the average is 15%. Texas is 12%, but there's some areas that are a little higher, so they said that now the average is around 15%.
And where's that water going?
Water loss, breaks, unaccounted water, all kind of things. That's the ratio between what you're pumping out of the ground and what you're actually billing. That's unaccounted water. Now, in that category, they have other ones like water that you can account for instance, line breaks. you know, or other, even the AWWA allows so much leakage per linear foot of line, or per mile of line. But you've got other issues like, let's say your meters aren't at 100% read, so you're only getting 90% of the reading, well, you just lost 10% of your water. See, there's all kind of factors involved in it. It's breaks, it's meter accuracy, it's unaccounted water that you don't know where it's going. You know, you've got some people have leaks, and like the one that took us so long was leaking into the river. We didn't know it was leaking in the river until you start looking around and finding it. You know.
I also call
It's a lot of
your
water.
attention, go ahead,
No.
call your attention to the fact that all of our meters are PD meters, and at best, they're subject to a plus or minus 2% measurement error, and a PD meter will never go on the minus side, it's always a plus. I mean, excuse me, it's the other way around.
Yeah.
If there's 10 gallons that go through it, they're gonna measure 9.7. They're never gonna get better than 10.
Right.
There's just no way unless the bearings go out in it, and then it just goes astronomical. It just flops around, you don't know what it is. And it's easily discerned. We have a program, I think it'll come out in the budget, where we replace a certain number of meters each year based on the age and the area. Of course, we all know who was built first out here, and for one, I don't know how the meters have been, what kind of schedule he's been on, but I think that would be something to bring up at the next meeting to let us know if Section 1 has, when all of their meters were changed, or if they were all changed at once, Section 2, yada yada. Anyway, I just wanted to bring that up since there's been so much rhetoric about lost water. And people don't understand that there's no way you'll ever get 0%.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
There's just no way.
Right.
If we could get it down to 2%,
Oh,
that would be almost astronomical.
Tim, let me tell you, when I first came here, the loss ratio at this district was 22%.
Wow.
22%. There was so many leaks in this system, it wasn't funny. And in 2006, I replaced every meter in this district.
Really?
Every meter. 966 meters, we replaced every one of them. And the following month, our system went down to 8. Again,
So it was meter errors, you think?
meter errors was a big one because they were the original meters. They hadn't been changed since the 70s. So like he says, as meters wear out, they slow down. So they were losing a lot of revenue just through the meter. Then they had pumps leaking, they had seals that were shot, they had all kind of stuff that was wrong.
Well, a grain of sand gets in a PD meter,
That's it.
and 11 gallons goes by and you're only measuring 10.
Much as I hate to say it, I'll give you a classic example. The CIA office didn't get billed. And so we went to go look at, well, the meter stopped working. So I had to change the meter out. So I changed the meter out, and it hadn't been a month, and they've already used 20,000 gallons at the CIA office.
Really?
They turned the sprinkler system on, and now my meter's working, see? That's a big difference.
Get them. Get them.
Yeah, see? So that's what we're doing. We're looking at meters. When we read the meters every month, if we don't see, hey, that meter didn't change. Well, it's time to change that meter out. It stopped completely, you know. But what I'll usually do is I'll send the crew out. We have a calibrator, a digital calibrator. And I'll send the crew out and we'll run every meter in the district. If the meter comes back at 96% or less, we change it out.
Wow, so you want it to be that accurate?
Oh,
Be
yeah.
96?
I want it to be 99 or 98 at the most, the worst.
Well, a new meter should be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The new meter's up there. They're about 99 point something. He's right. He'll never get to 10, but
That's right.
that's pretty close.
Anyway, I wanted to just throw that in for what it's worth. It's just a piece of information that I thought needed to be put before you.
The other part of the manager's report, as you can see, is the final on the cruise tech project. The lining is all completed. The district's cost at the bottom line ended up being $366,399, and that's for the entire project, including the retainage. EPUD will end up paying $124,456. The total project came in at $492,856, which is under the projected 508.
And the 2 years prior to that, we spent something like $300,000, if my memory serves me correct. EP paid part of it
Correct.
in repairs,
Yes.
sewer line repairs. So this is trying to alleviate or mitigate, if you will, because so much of this pipe that was put in, of course, it was put in by the low bidder, by the developer who had bonds that he had sold, and what he didn't spend, he probably got to spend someplace else.
Yeah.
So you had to take that into consideration. A lot of the pipes were, I consider them paper. A lot of them are some kind of mixture of plastic and I don't know what else you've got out there, but
What we replaced, which is why we did this project, is because we started having major failures on the concrete lines.
yeah.
The concrete lines are the main trunk lines of the district. 80% of them were concrete. So if it fails, you have to pay for a point repair. And some of them were, I mean, this 21 inch down here is 18 feet deep in the ground. So it was costing us $95,000 to fix one break. And we started having multiple ones. So that adds up pretty quick. So this project here lines the inside of that concrete, and it's good for 50 years.
What the basic reason for the failure of the concrete is in a sewer line you have toxic, not toxic, but you've got acetic gases.
Yep.
And the acid reacts with the concrete, and sooner or later something's got to give. And anyway, that's the primary reason. Of course, add on to that trees growing and and ground shifts and everything else, and it just exacerbates the problem. But the primary weakening of the concrete was due to the sewer gases, if you will.
Right. The remaining pipe that we have in the district is what's called truss pipe. It's a lightweight pipe that's it's got a plastic liner on the outside. They started using that in the late 70s. And it's got a middle filler of lightweight concrete and an inner liner of plastic. So it's not as affected as the concrete is because of the plastic liner. And it protects it a lot longer. The only problem I have with that one is, again, side stress will crack it. But we've had hardly any failures with the truss pipe.
It's brittle with age.
Right. The earlier plastics in the 70s weren't as good as today's.
Yeah.
That will flex, you know. But for the most part, it's holding up pretty good.
As we were doing this work out here and lining the sewers, did we repair anything other than just lining them, or did we run into issues?
Oh, no, we repaired as we went.
There
was cracks, you know, I mean, all kind of shifting,
right?
everything in it. They had to go down and fix
Okay.
it, yeah. In order to line it, you've got to make it as smooth as you can. So when the pipes were shifting off, they'd go in there and that's another point repair we had to do. Take the section out, repair it, make a flex joint, and then shoot the liner through it.
And that's included in this cost?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, good, under budget.
Okay, any other questions you might have?
Have we heard anything from FEMA on the repair of the ditch out here?
Not that I've heard about.
FEMA is at a dead stop until they hear from the Army Corps of Engineers.
Army Corps of Engineers wants to claim that
The one with the concrete,
our creek is
the
a
concrete's all shifted.
fish inhabitant.
Now,
And it's probably just because we've misnamed it.
yeah.
Because where we dump into the river, our elevation is above the normal level of the river. So we would never have, the only time we'd ever have anything coming from the river is if the elevation of the river comes into a flood stage and then it has to drain out. Of course, they said, well, you got water in the river now. Well, the reason is because we haven't maintained it because our damn concrete is giving way. And we can't get the stuff in there to clean it up. So, we're in a catch-22 here. Now, being a government agency, they use everything they can, I think, to exercise some sort of jurisdiction over you. And in this case, they use the fact that you called it Plantation Creek,
Yeah.
which is what we've
It's been that
termed
for
it all
years,
this
yeah.
time, but it was never a creek. It's just a drainage ditch.
Right.
Drainage channel.
So, if worse comes to worse, I'm gonna make a trip to Galveston and tell them it's a drainage ditch.
Now, we do not have clearance from FEMA yet to go out to bid, but we decided to go out to bid anyway to get the prices. We want us to keep moving. If we have to get this project started without FEMA, then we'll do it that way. We have the funds to do it. So it's already going out to bid. Pre-bid is September 6th and the opening's September 13th. So we're gonna find out how much it's gonna cost us to fix this thing.
It'll be 2 months or so before we are able to do anything. And we have another place that we have to fix also, which is, we're gonna take bids on, and that's in the middle of the golf course, where we had a header and some big drainage pipes come apart, put a big hole in the golf course over on Biloxi between 4 and 5.
So this Plantation Creek, is it a FEMA issue or a Corps of Engineers issue?
FEMA's gonna pay for it. So it's a FEMA project, but
Okay.
FEMA won't release the funds or authorize construction until Army Corps of Engineers signs off on it,
Okay.
stating that it's okay to do that.
FEMA shuttled it to the Corps of
Yeah.
Engineers because of the name.
We've already filed for a permit from from Army Corps of Engineers for a variance on it.
Okay.
So we're just waiting for them to review it and send us back the results.
So it's Plantation Creek.
Right. But we're
Why don't
gonna,
we just change the name to Plantation
Well, that's
Ditch?
what we,
we're gonna change it to Plantation Channel, and the engineering project is gonna be channel improvements.
There you go.
Okay, as long as it's not,
We're taking the word creek out of it. I think that's what threw them all off.
Plantation Creek Channel.
why call it a channel?
It's a drainage channel.
Why don't you just call it drainage ditch?
yeah, what's the matter with the ditch?
Well,
You know,
Channel
like my
sounds
ditch.
better.
I mean, I'm talking, I know Blyle's doing this,
yeah.
and they want to try to stay, at an upper level here with a choice of words.
Well, the channel, you can relate more to a concrete lined, channel versus a ditch where they think, well, maybe it's just dirt.
You know, concrete line ditches.
Well, yeah,
You also
We just
rip
did.
wrap them.
yeah,
We did.
yeah.
You also rip wrap
Yeah,
them.
that's right.
Anyway,
So we're moving on with it anyway, regardless of FEMA.
Okay.
does anyone have anything else?
You,
Did you talk to any of these guys?
Oh, we need to set a
Yes.
date for the
The electronic payments?
tax hearings.
yes, you have to, first of all, you have to set what you want as the tax rate.
Now?
Yes, because I have to send it to her so she can publish it.
Okay.
And we have to set the time and the date to conduct a public hearing so that the public has an opportunity to comment on it. So right now, we're set at September 11th, whatever time you want to have that. It's up to you.
But we need to set a rate now,
You need to set the rate now so she can
or
publicize it.
an indicated rate,
A
which
proposed
can be
rate.
changed, which can be changed,
Yes, a proposed rate.
yeah. Depending on how
Discuss, adopt a
good an
proposed rate.
argument Dolores comes up with.
There you go.
And the current rate is
You
what?
never know.
32 cents per $100 value.
I have a feeling about this, and my comment is that I propose that we keep it at the same rate.
Can we
We're
afford to
gonna-
budget-wise?
Pardon?
Can we afford to budget-wise?
We raised the sewer rates a year and a half ago to pay for
This project.
this. And our intent at the time was to take those sewer rates off when we got it paid for. That's paid for, but we're gonna see a reduction here. And my intent is, and in the budget, I would like for him to propose just to keep the same rates that he had for his water and sewer rates, the same as they are today, and keep our tax rate at the same, even though our total tax money will be reduced. So therefore, I propose a proposed tax rate of 32 cents per $100 valuation be presented to the public on September 11th. Pardon?
Is that a motion?
Yeah,
Second?
I propose, I make a
I'll
motion.
second that.
Is there a second?
I do.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Nay, let it show it's passed.
Okay, now the time and date, September 11th, what time do you want to have that meeting? That's basically an in and out meeting.
What is the 11th? What day?
It's a
Tuesday.
Tuesday, I think, yes.
Y'all have a date? Y'all have a
Time,
preference?
I have to do after 3 o'clock. I won't be back here before 3.
All right, so 3 o'clock, after 3?
Yeah, after 3. That's fine.
Why don't we make it at 4 o'clock?
Yeah.
okay? September 11th at 4 p.m. Got it.
If that's all the business and all, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion made.
Second it.
Well, I didn't make it, I just entertained
Oh.
it, but I'll make it.
She
No,
seconded
I
it.
seconded it. I thought you were in here.
Well, I got 2 seconds, so I guess that makes enough for a motion. All right, all in favor of a motion to adjourn?
Aye.
Aye.
Passes. How are those rates?
I think they're actually,
Richard,
for them doing bookkeeping.
I'm gonna
too,
send you
they
that
are doing payroll
information
too.
from the Texas
Yeah,
Municipal.
not bad.
I know what it is, I've already read it.
You're cheaper.
Oh, you've
Well,
read
then
it
you
already?
start doing it. Come on.
Okay,
I'm
then
I got
aware
you
of it,
set up
yeah.
and going.
It doesn't
I
apply to me
can't
because
do
I'm
it.
basically a contractor with the district.
I mean, considering.
You're an
they're paying
employee.
I'm
$3
an
million
employee- I'm an actual
insurance
contractor.
and-
If you read the audit at the
Well,
end of
they've
the
got a
thing,
lot of-
I'm not listed
got
as
a
an
lot of
employee. I'm a
muscle,
contractor
too.
that
Yeah.
operates the district, and that's what exempts me from that.
well, I guess there's
It
so
it
many,
applies to municipalities, that's where
I
the
think,
difference
did you
is.
sign it?
well, the thing is, there's so many
Here, you're
people
supposed to
here in the
sign that.
district
Make
that
yourself
could,
useful.
would like a job too,
You gotta sign that, Jack.
so.
Who's
Yeah.
that? I've put up notices
No.
and nobody ever.
Where,
bothered.
where? I've never seen one.
We didn't,
Where did you
bring
put
it
a
up.
notice at?
Oh, no.
Heck, you ought to put it on next door. You'd probably get all kind of people here to,
I don't really need anybody.
well,
Oh,
now
well,
you
that's
don't,
for
you
the
got
next
your
meeting.
family.
Richard,
Yes, ma'am? Sorry.
we didn't talk
We
about that.
we didn't bring that up in a minute.
But that's fine, we can do it at the next meeting, I'll put it on the agenda.
Okay.
Put it on the agenda and just tell her that
She's fine with
My
that, I already
oversight.
talked to her about that, so,
my oversight.
no problem.
Those are the 3 signatures or do we
Mr.
just-
Smith, by George, you're sitting over there not doing anything.
Well, give me some things.
There you are. I finished.
We just,